The discovery. The titanium-reinforced doors of Lab 7 slid open with a pneumatic hiss as Dr. Isabella Barrett swiped her keycard. The scent of antiseptic and ozone filled her nostrils, the familiar smell of humanity's last advanced research facility. Outside, the perpetual red dust storms of what used to be the Australian outback battered against the reinforced windows, but inside, the quiet hum of equipment and soft blue emergency lighting created an atmosphere of focused determination. Isabella's hands trembled slightly as she approached the central analysis station. The holographic display showed the results of their latest breakthrough, a complete mapping of Titan DNA tracking patterns. For 3 years, these biomechanical hunters had stalked what remained of humanity, using their advanced sensory systems to detect and eliminate human settlements with frightening precision. But now, finally, they had found something. "Director Hammond, you need to see this," Isabella called out, her voice steady despite her excitement. The aging director of the Global Defense Initiative emerged from his office, his dark skin contrasting sharply with his white lab coat. He moved with purpose, years of leading humanity's scientific resistance evident in every step. "What have you found, Dr. Barrett?" Hammond asked, leaning over the holographic display. Isabella manipulated the 3D model with practiced gestures. "Look at this pattern recognition sequence. The Titans aren't just tracking random DNA signatures, they're following specific markers in our genetic code. Markers that appeared in our DNA approximately 50,000 years ago." The implications hung heavy in the air. Hammond's eyes widened as he processed the information. "You're saying these things were programmed to hunt us long before they appeared?" "Exactly," Isabella confirmed, pulling up another dataset. "But here's where it gets interesting. The markers they track. They're not present in every human. Roughly 15% of our test subjects show a natural genetic variation that makes them practically invisible to Titan detection systems." The discovery had come at a heavy price. Thousands of tissue samples, countless hours of analysis, and the sacrifice of brave volunteers who had risked everything to gather data on Titan behavior. But now they had something the resistance desperately needed: hope. A distant explosion rocked the facility, causing the lights to flicker momentarily. Neither scientist flinched, such interruptions had become routine. The perimeter defenses would hold, they always did. The real race was against time. "If we can isolate these genetic variations," Isabella continued, "we might be able to synthesize a treatment that could mask everyone's DNA signatures. We could hide entire settlements from Titan detection." Hammond stroked his chin thoughtfully. "The Arthropodians might be able to help with that. Their bioengineering capabilities far exceed our own." Isabella nodded, though the mention of their insectoid allies always brought mixed feelings. The Arthropodians had arrived shortly after the Titans, offering humanity aid and shelter. While many distrusted these alien benefactors, their advanced biological science had saved countless lives. "I've already contacted Professor Nixveth at the Hive Embassy," Isabella said. "She's expressing their genetic modification protocols as we speak." The facility's warning system suddenly blared to life, its harsh tone cutting through their conversation. Red emergency lights began pulsing along the corridors. "Perimeter breach in Sector 4, the automated system announced. Multiple Titan signatures detected." Hammond's face hardened. "How much time do you need to secure the data?" Isabella was already moving, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. 3 minutes to complete the upload to the secure servers. Another 2 to destroy the physical samples. "You have 4 minutes, Hammond said grimly, heading for the security station. "I'll coordinate with defense teams to buy you time." As Isabella worked, she could hear the distant sound of combat, the distinctive whine of plasma rifles and the thunderous footsteps of approaching Titans. The upload bar seemed to crawl across her screen, each percentage point marked by her racing heartbeat. Through the reinforced windows, she caught glimpses of the defensive battle. The facility's automated turrets spewed streams of superheated plasma at the advancing Titans. The massive machines, each standing 3 stories tall, pushed relentlessly forward. Their metallic bodies gleamed dully in the emergency lights, their sensor arrays scanning continuously for human targets. The upload reached 89% as the first Titan reached the outer wall of Lab 7. Its massive fist, capable of detecting human DNA through meters of concrete, began systematically punching through the reinforced structure. Dr. Barrett. Hammond's voice crackled over the intercom. Status report. Upload at 94%, she replied, initiating the sample destruction sequence. Physical samples beginning molecular breakdown now. The wall finally gave way with a deafening crash. Isabella refused to look up from her station as dust and debris filled the air. The upload bar hit 100% just as massive metallic fingers began reaching through the breach. It's done, she shouted, slamming her hand down on the emergency purge button. Every sample, every piece of physical evidence, was instantly vaporized in a controlled plasma burst. Hammond's voice came through once more, calm despite the chaos. Evacuation route beta is clear. Get to the tunnels. The Arthropodian shuttle is waiting. Isabella grabbed the secured data crystal and ran. Behind her, she could hear the Titan scanning systems whirring as they searched for human DNA signatures. But they would find nothing, she had made sure of that. The research would continue at the Hive Embassy, and humanity had just gained its first real advantage in this war of extinction. As she sprinted through the emergency tunnels, Isabella allowed herself a grim smile. The Titans had been designed to hunt humans through their DNA, but that same singular focus would become their weakness. Evolution had given humanity an unexpected defense, and science would help them exploit it. The war for survival was far from over, but for the first time since the Titans appeared, the playing field was beginning to level. The Alliance. The Arthropodian Hive Embassy rose from the red desert like a crystalline cathedral, its bioorganic architecture a stark contrast to the harsh landscape surrounding it. Dr. Isabella Barrett stood in the main research chamber, watching as Professor Nixvetha's iridescent wings caught the artificial sunlight streaming through the transparent dome above. The insectoid scientist's compound eyes reflected the holographic DNA strands floating between them. Your discovery is remarkable, Nixveth clicked, her translator converting the sounds into smooth English. The Titan's targeting system is far more sophisticated than we initially believed. Isabella nodded, manipulating the hologram to highlight specific genetic markers. The question is, can your bioengineering technology help us replicate these natural variations on a large scale? Before Nixveth could respond, the chamber's entrance membrane parted, admitting Dr. Rashid Karim, the leading expert in human genetic modification. His usually immaculate lab coat showed signs of hasty travel, and his dark eyes were bright with excitement. The preliminary tests are complete, he announced, striding toward them. The synthetic DNA markers are stable in isolated tissue samples. We might actually have a chance at this. The 3 scientists gathered around the central analysis platform, where a new hologram sprouted from the organic crystal surface. It showed the results of their latest experiments, human tissue samples treated with modified genetic markers based on the naturally resistant population. There's still one significant problem, Isabella said, highlighting a particular sequence. The modification process is incredibly complex. We'd need months to treat even a small population, and we don't have that kind of time. Nixvetha's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Perhaps we're approaching this from the wrong angle. Her segmented fingers danced across the holographic interface. Instead of modifying individual humans, what if we created a widespread environmental solution? The hologram shifted, showing a new molecular structure. Rashid leaned forward, his expression intense. An aerosol delivery system? The logistics would be challenging, but... More than challenging, Isabella interjected. We'd need to ensure it doesn't affect other species, doesn't break down in various atmospheric conditions, and can be produced in massive quantities. A low vibration rumbled through the facility, distant Titan activity. They had grown accustomed to these tremors, but they served as a constant reminder of the urgency of their work. "We have something that might help," Nixveth said, moving to a sealed chamber in the wall. The organic door spiraled open, revealing a pulsing, bioluminescent crystal. "This is a quantum organic computer. It can simulate millions of genetic combinations simultaneously." Isabella approached the crystal cautiously. She had heard rumors about arthropodian biotechnology, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. "How does it work?" "It uses quantum entanglement to process genetic data," Nixveth explained. "But more importantly, it can help us predict how different genetic modifications will interact with various environmental factors." Rashid was already connecting his data tablet to the crystal's interface. "If we combine this with our existing research..." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. The quantum organic computer processed vast amounts of data, while the three scientists refined and adjusted their approach. They took brief breaks only when absolutely necessary, eating protein bars and drinking synthetic caffeine while discussing new angles of attack. It was during one of these breaks that Isabella noticed something unusual in the simulation data. "Look at this," she called to her colleagues. "The computer isn't just showing us how to mask human DNA, it's suggesting we could create false positives." Nixvetha's wings fluttered with excitement. "Decoys. We could flood an area with synthetic DNA signatures, overwhelming the Titans' tracking systems." "Better than that," Rashid added, quickly running calculations. "We could create mobile decoys, automated drones that emit false DNA signatures. Lead the Titans away from population centers." A warning klaxon suddenly echoed through the chamber. Red light pulsed along the organic walls as a computerized voice announced, "Warning. Multiple Titan signatures detected. Defensive protocols engaged." Isabella rushed to the monitoring station. "They're getting closer. This is the third attack on the embassy this week. They're learning," Nixveth clicked grimly. "Adapting their search patterns. We need to move faster." The facility's defenses activated, crystalline towers emerging from the desert floor, emitting electromagnetic pulses that interfered with Titan sensors. But everyone knew these were temporary measures at best. "Transfer all our data to the secure servers," Isabella ordered, her fingers flying over the control interface. "Nixveth, can you replicate the quantum computer's core?" The arthropodian scientist was already moving. "Yes, but it will take time we may not have." "Make it happen," Isabella said. "Rashid, help me prep the emergency lab equipment. If we have to evacuate, we're taking everything we can carry." As they worked, the sounds of battle grew closer. The Titan's heavy footsteps shook dust from the ceiling, and the crack of electromagnetic weapons fire became more distinct. "Isabella," Rashid called out suddenly. "Look at these latest results." She joined him at the analysis station, and her eyes widened. The quantum computer had completed its final calculations, revealing something unexpected. The genetic markers they had been studying weren't just random variations, they appeared to be artificially inserted into the human genome thousands of years ago. "This changes everything," she breathed. "The Titans aren't hunting us because we're human. They're hunting us because someone changed us." Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. But Isabella barely noticed, her mind racing with the implications of their discovery. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were unraveling a mystery that stretched back to the dawn of human civilization. "Save everything," she commanded. "Every scrap of data, every simulation result. This isn't just about hiding from the Titans anymore. We need to understand why they were created to hunt us in the first place." As the battle raged outside, the three scientists worked feverishly to secure their discoveries. The alliance between humans and arthropodians had yielded more than just technological advancement, it had revealed a truth that would reshape their understanding of human history and their place in the cosmos. The war for survival had just become a race for answers, and time was running out. The breakthrough. Deep within the underground research facility beneath the ruins of Singapore, Isabella stared at the results displaying on the quantum organic computer's crystalline surface. 3 months had passed since their hasty evacuation from the Arthropodian embassy, and those months had been filled with breakthrough after breakthrough, each one bringing them closer to understanding the truth about humanity's genetic modifications. "The pattern is unmistakable," Professor Nixveth chittered, her translator struggling to convey the excitement in her voice. These genetic markers weren't just inserted into human DNA, they were designed to activate over time. The holographic display showed a complex timeline of human genetic evolution, with specific markers highlighted in pulsing red. Each marker corresponded to major leaps in human cognitive development, technological advancement, and biological adaptation. "Someone engineered humanity to evolve in a specific way," Rashid said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But why create the Titans to hunt us just when these final markers were becoming active?" Isabella manipulated the hologram, focusing on the most recent genetic changes. "Look at this sequence here. It began activating in the human population approximately 6 months before the Titans arrived. Whatever it does, it must be what they're trying to prevent." The facility's organic lighting pulsed softly, casting strange shadows through the crystalline growth that had begun spreading through the human-built structure. The Arthropodian biotechnology they'd salvaged from the embassy had taken root here, slowly transforming the cold steel and concrete into something new, a hybrid of human and alien engineering. "We've made progress with the DNA masking compound," Rashid reported, pulling up another set of data. "The latest version doesn't just hide human genetic signatures, it actively mimics the DNA patterns of local wildlife. The Titans can't distinguish it from background biological noise." A junior researcher burst into the lab, her face flushed with excitement. "Dr. Barrett. The test subjects, something's happening." Isabella exchanged quick glances with her colleagues before rushing to the observation chamber. Through the reinforced window, they could see the volunteers who had been treated with the latest version of their DNA masking compound. The subjects were surrounded by a faint, barely visible field of energy. "Their cellular activity is off the charts," the junior researcher explained, handing Isabella a tablet with the latest readings. "But they're not just hiding from Titan sensors anymore. They're manifesting capabilities we never engineered into the treatment." Isabella watched in amazement as one of the test subjects raised his hand, and the energy field coalesced into a visible barrier. Another subject appeared to momentarily phase through solid matter, while a third demonstrated unprecedented neural activity. "The markers," Nixveth clicked urgently. "They're not just modifications, they're keys, unlocking capabilities that were buried in human DNA millennia ago." Rashid was already analyzing the new data. "These abilities, they're beyond anything in our evolutionary history. Beyond anything we thought possible." A deep rumble shook the facility, causing dust to drift down from the ceiling. But this time, it wasn't from Titan activity. The source was below them, in the deeper levels of the facility where they discovered strange ruins during the initial excavation. "The energy signatures," Isabella said suddenly, pulling up comparative scans. "They're identical to the patterns we found in those ancient structures. Whatever changed humanity's DNA, whatever created the Titans, it's all connected to what's buried down there." Another tremor, stronger this time, rippled through the facility. Warning lights began flashing as the security systems detected movement in the lower levels. "The ruins are active," Rashid reported, his fingers flying over the control panel. "They're responding to the energy our test subjects are emitting." Isabella made a quick decision. "Nixveth, continue monitoring the test subjects. Rashid, start distributing the masking compound to all personnel. I'm going down to the ruins." "Not alone," Rashid insisted, grabbing a portable scanner. "Whatever we're about to discover, we need multiple perspectives to document it." The descent to the lower levels was tense. The hybrid architecture became more pronounced the deeper they went, with crystalline growths merging seamlessly with what appeared to be impossibly ancient technology. The air hummed with energy, making their skin tingle. They found the source of the disturbance in a chamber they had previously been unable to access. Now, the wall had simply dissolved, revealing a vast space filled with holographic displays and strange machinery. "It's a library," Isabella breathed, watching as symbols and images flickered to life around them. "No, it's more than that. It's a message." The holograms coalesced into a single massive display, showing beings that appeared to be a perfect fusion of organic and mechanical components. The message began to play, transmitted directly into their minds. "To our children, if you are receiving this, you have begun to awaken. The Titans were not created to destroy you, but to test you. Every human carries within them the potential to transcend their current form, to become something greater. But this gift could not be given freely, it had to be earned through adversity." Isabella and Rashid watched in stunned silence as the message continued, revealing the truth about humanity's origins and the true purpose of their genetic modifications. They were part of a grand experiment, designed to evolve into beings capable of inheriting the legacy of an ancient civilization. "The Titans aren't hunting us," Isabella realized. "They're pushing us to evolve, to unlock the capabilities hidden in our DNA. And now we're ready," Rashid finished. "But the question is, ready for what?" Before they could process this revelation, their communicators crackled to life with Nixvetha's urgent voice, "Isabella, Rashid, you need to see this. The test subjects, they're not just manifesting new abilities. They're beginning to understand how to control the Titans." As they rushed back to the upper levels, Isabella's mind raced with the implications. They had been searching for a way to hide from the Titans, to survive their onslaught. Instead, they had discovered humanity's true purpose and unlocked powers beyond their wildest imagination. The war wasn't about survival anymore. It was about transformation. And the real battle was just beginning. The resistance. The command center of the Singapore facility buzzed with activity as reports flooded in from around the globe. On the main holographic display, dots of light represented human settlements where the DNA masking compound had been successfully deployed. But it was the other readings that held everyone's attention, the growing number of individuals manifesting extraordinary abilities. Isabella stood before the assembled leaders of the world's remaining resistance groups, their faces illuminated by the soft bioluminescence of the hybrid architecture. Some attended in person, others through secure holographic projections, but all wore expressions of equal parts hope and concern. "The transformation isn't uniform," she explained, bringing up detailed genetic analyses. "Each individual's awakening abilities seem tailored to their existing genetic predispositions. But one thing remains constant, they can all sense and interact with Titan technology on some level." Director Hammond, who had survived the Australian facility's fall, leaned forward in his chair. "And you're certain these changes are safe?" "As safe as evolution ever is," Rashid answered from his position near the biological data cores. "We've recorded no negative physical effects, though the psychological impact of suddenly gaining these abilities is something we're monitoring closely." A resistance leader from what remained of Europe, General Santos, spoke up through her hologram. "What about the arthropodians? How do they fit into all this?" Nixveth stepped forward, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the light. "My people were aware of the ruins beneath this facility, though we didn't understand their significance until now. We believe we were guided here, meant to help humanity through this transformation." The room erupted in discussion, but Isabella's attention was drawn to a sudden shift in the facility's energy readings. The hybrid systems they developed, merging human technology with arthropodian bioengineering in the ancient ruins' power, had become increasingly sensitive to Titan movements. Something big was happening. Multiple Titan signatures detected, the facility's AI announced, its voice a blend of mechanical precision and organic warmth. Pattern suggests coordinated movement toward major population centers. The holographic display shifted, showing hundreds of Titans converging on human settlements worldwide. But this time, something was different. The machines moved with purpose, not in their usual search patterns. They know, Isabella realized aloud, silencing the room. They can sense that the transformation has begun. This is what they've been waiting for. Then we strike first, General Santos declared. We have people who can control them now. We use that advantage. It's not that simple, Rashid cautioned. Those who've manifested abilities are still learning to control them. We need more time. A thunderous impact shook the facility, causing several holograms to flicker. Warning systems blared as security feeds showed a massive titan, larger than any they'd encountered before, approaching the surface entrance. That's no ordinary titan, Nixveth clicked, her translator struggling to convey her alarm. It's energy signature, it's an overseer unit. A controller. Isabella's mind raced through possibilities. The ancient message had spoken of tests and trials, of humanity earning its transformation. It's not here to attack, she said suddenly. It's here to evaluate. As if in response, the facility's hybrid systems surged with power. The ancient ruins beneath them hummed to life, and every screen and holographic display filled with streaming data, the complete records of humanity's trial by the Titans. Look at these numbers, Rashid called out, analyzing the data. Every attack, every encounter, they were measuring our responses, our adaptation rate, our potential for unity under pressure. Another impact rattled the facility, closer this time. Through the security feeds, they watched as the Overseer Titan began interfacing with their hybrid systems, its massive form radiating energy that matched the patterns they'd seen in transformed humans. We need to make a decision, Director Hammond said grimly. Do we fight, or do we trust that this is part of the process? Isabella stepped forward, her voice steady. We've spent months hiding and running. But everything we've learned points to this moment. The Titans weren't sent to exterminate us, they were sent to push us, to force us to unlock what we could become. She turned to the assembled leaders. I propose we do neither. We don't fight, and we don't passively accept whatever comes next. We take control of our own evolution. Moving to the central control interface, Isabella began inputting commands into the hybrid system. The facility's architecture responded, crystalline growths extending and realigning as she merged their defensive systems with the ancient technology. The ruins aren't just a library, she explained as she worked. They're a key to controlling the entire Titan network. But it needs humans who have begun the transformation to activate it. Rashid caught on immediately, rushing to help modify the controls. If we can interface with the Overseer unit, we might be able to reprogram the entire Titan force. Not reprogram, Isabella corrected. Synchronize. The Titans are tools, meant to guide our evolution. Now we show we're ready to guide ourselves. The facility shuddered again, but this time the vibrations felt different, resonant, almost harmonious. Through the security feeds, they watched as transformed humans around the world began spontaneously connecting with nearby Titans, their energy fields synchronizing. It's working, Nixveth announced, monitoring the global data streams. The Overseer unit is acknowledging the connection. The Titans are responding to human control. As the assembled leaders watched in amazement, the massive machines that had hunted humanity for so long began to stand down. Some transformed, their threatening forms shifting into more benign configurations. Others simply went dormant, awaiting new instructions from their newly awakened masters. But in the depths of the facility, in the ancient ruins that had started it all, something else was stirring. The final phase of humanity's trial was about to begin, and with it, the true purpose of their long evolution would finally be revealed. Isabella felt it coming, a wave of change that would reshape not just humanity, but their understanding of their place in the cosmos. The resistance had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes, but their greatest challenge still lay ahead. The liberation. The ancient chamber deep beneath the Singapore facility had transformed beyond recognition. Crystalline structures pulsed with otherworldly energy, merging seamlessly with both human technology and Titan architecture. At the center of it all stood Isabella, her body emanating the same ethereal field now common among those who had undergone the transformation. "The final encryption is breaking down," she announced to the assembled team. Rashid and Nixveth worked at nearby consoles while Director Hammond and General Santos monitored the global situation from a floating holographic display. The Overseer Titan remained stationed above their facility, its massive form now serving as a relay for their commands to the worldwide Titan network. But something was changing in its behavior, and in the behavior of all Titans across the globe. "Energy signatures are fluctuating," Rashid reported, his hands dancing over the hybrid controls. "It's as if they're preparing for something." The ancient ruins message matrix suddenly pulsed with new information, flooding their minds with images and concepts that transcended normal human understanding. Isabella gasped as the full truth finally revealed itself. "The Titans," she breathed, "they're not just machines. They're vessels, waiting to be filled." Nixvetha's crystalline exoskeleton resonated with the energy flowing through the chamber. "Filled with what?" "With us," Isabella replied, understanding dawning in her eyes. "The genetic modifications, the transformation, the trials, they weren't just testing us. They were preparing humanity to make an evolutionary leap that would merge our consciousness with their technology." The chamber's energy intensified as more data streamed through their neural interfaces. The history of their creators, ancient beings who had transcended the boundary between organic and mechanical existence, unfolded before them. These beings had seeded countless worlds with modified species, each designed to eventually follow their path of transcendence. "We're not their children," Rashid realized, "we're their successors. And the Titans aren't our enemies, they're our inheritance." A sudden surge of power rippled through the facility's systems. Above ground, the Overseer Titan began to change, its form shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Across the globe, all Titans simultaneously initiated the same transformation. "It's time," Isabella said, stepping onto a platform that rose from the chamber floor. "Every human who has undergone the transformation can feel it. We need to make a choice, not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity." Director Hammond stepped forward, his voice grave. "What exactly are we choosing?" "Whether to accept our evolution," Isabella explained. "The Titans aren't just advanced technology, they're a bridge between what we are and what we could become. A species that exists simultaneously in organic and digital forms, able to shape matter and energy at will." General Santos's hologram flickered as she processed this information. "And those who haven't transformed will have the choice to do so at their own pace," Rashid assured her. "The masking compound we created didn't just hide human DNA, it prepared our bodies for this moment, making the transformation possible for anyone who wants it." The chamber's energy reached a crescendo as the final encryptions fell away. Through their neural interfaces, they could feel millions of transformed humans worldwide connecting with the Titan network, their consciousness expanding beyond the limitations of flesh. "The Arthropodians," Nixveth clicked suddenly, "we were meant to witness this. To help preserve the knowledge of what humanity was, even as you become something new." Isabella nodded, reaching out to take Rashid's hand as they stepped onto the central platform together. Around the world, others were doing the same, connecting with the Titans not as masters or controllers, but as partners in an unprecedented fusion of organic and mechanical life. The transformation began slowly at first, a ripple of change that started in the ancient chamber and spread outward across the globe. Those who had already manifested abilities found their consciousness expanding exponentially, while those who had only received the masking compound felt the first stirrings of their dormant potential. Through their enhanced perception, they could see the true nature of reality, the underlying patterns of energy and information that made up all existence. The Titans, once their hunters, now became extensions of their will, their bodies transforming into forms that reflected humanity's newfound understanding of their place in the cosmos. Director Hammond watched in amazement as Isabella and Rashid's forms began to shift, their bodies taking on an otherworldly luminescence. "What do you see?" he asked. "Everything," Isabella replied, her voice resonating with new harmonics. The past, the present, and all possible futures. We understand now why we were chosen, why we were tested so severely. Humanity's greatest strength, Rashid added, his form now pulsing with the same energy that filled the chamber, was never our resilience or our intelligence. It was our ability to adapt, to take what tries to destroy us and make it part of ourselves. The Overseer Titan's consciousness merged with theirs, revealing the final truth: they were not the first species to face this trial, but they were among the few to succeed. Across the galaxy, other worlds harbored their own versions of humanity, each approaching their moment of transcendence in their own time. As the transformation spread, cities around the world began to change. Titan technology merged with human infrastructure, creating impossible architectures that served both their original forms and their transcended states. The barrier between organic and mechanical, between digital and physical, dissolved. What happens now? General Santos asked, her hologram stabilizing as the new reality settled into place. Isabella, her consciousness now spanning both her human form and the vast network of transformed Titans, smiled. Now we begin the real work. There are more worlds out there, more species approaching their own moments of transcendence. Some will need guidance, others protection. And some, Rashid added, will need to be tested, as we were tested. The ancient chamber, its purpose finally fulfilled, began to reconfigure itself into something new, a nexus point for humanity's transformed civilization. The war that had seemed like an extinction event had instead become a metamorphosis, a crucible from which humanity had emerged, not just survived, but transcended. In the end, the story of the Titans became not one of invasion and resistance, but of evolution and inheritance. Humanity had decoded not just the science behind their DNA, but the very purpose of their existence. The next chapter of their species' story was about to begin, and this time, they would be the authors of their own destiny.